Hello everyone. Hello everyone. My name's Richard. I'm from the World Owl Trust. This is Tassel, and we're doing a live this evening. It would be great if you could click on the link and donate to support the work the World Owl Trust do in owl conservation and rescuing injured owls. As you can see, Tassel's rather keen to go, so I'll pop her on a perch up there. Before we actually fly her, we'll give everybody a few minutes to join us. I was awfully worried about the weather forecast when I looked last night, and it was forecasting gale force winds and rain. It looks like we've got away with it. It's a little bit breezy, but it's not too bad other than that. It's quite nice weather for flying owls. If it had been windy, we'd have struggled with the barn owl. She only weighs 340 grams, and if it had been wet, well, she's got terrible waterproofing, so we'd have struggled to fly her at all. We might have been flying her in the kitchen. At which point I would have got into trouble from my camera woman this evening, Jacinta, who's standing there busy videoing me.
Hello.
I would have got yelled at rather a lot. So what we're going to do is, if you've got any questions about barn owls tonight, just message them in, give us a like as well so we know that you're watching. Jacinta can read them off the screen and we'll try and answer them while we're flying in Tassel and while we're telling you a bit more about barn owls as well. We'll talk a bit more as we go on and give you some more information about what the Trust does, and yeah, hopefully you can support us. So Tassel is a 14-year-old barn owl. She's 14 on the 26th of April this year. We're flying her this evening, so she's got a little thin set of straps on her legs so that we can hold on to her for safety. You might see she's got a little blue ring on her leg there, and she's also got a transmitter, so that if she decides that she is going to fly off, then I can pick up the beeping noise, tell where she is, and we can get her back. She hasn't got a bell on like a traditional falconry bird because she's an owl and she uses her ears to do shh, oi, come here, to do an awful lot of her hunting. I hissed there and she came straight back because she's expecting a treat. And I hiss at them. It's called the food snore when the barn owl does it, and we've had loads of success training youngsters to this food snore. They hiss when the parents come into their nest saying, "Mom, give me something to eat," and the parents hiss to say, "I've got some food for you." So by using that hiss as we train them, it works really easily. Whistles, they have to learn what the whistle means. Food snore, they know it automatically. So it makes my life a little bit easier. She's got this lovely heart-shaped face. They're the only owls in the world to have a heart-shaped face, and it's just two huge ears stuck together with a pair of eyes and a beak in the middle. And most owls have these big ears so that they can listen for their food. The barn owl, it's said, can hear a mouse squeak from half a mile away and tell exactly where a mouse is from 200 metres away and catch it without ever seeing it. So their hearing really is incredible. And they have completely silent flight. Humans can't pick up the sound of a barn owl flapping their wings. We need really sensitive microphones to hear that. They fly quietly so that they can hear. That way they can find their food. Kestrels, who catch exactly the same type of voles, their wings make a noise. The voles don't say, "Hold on, right, I can hear that kestrel flapping its wings," and run off. So the barn owl is flying quietly because it's listening for its food. It wants to hear where things are, and then it can pause just above them, locate exactly where they are, and dive into the grass and catch the voles with their feet. They land on a vole with about 3 times their own body weight. So this is one for the kids if they're all being homeschooled at the moment, although they're all going to scream, "It's Easter holidays." It's nearly a kilogram. She's 340 grams tonight.
We have a question coming in, Richard.
There's a what, sorry?
We have a question coming in.
Go on.
From Sophia in Hexham. How far in a night can Tassel actually fly?
Tassel doesn't fly very far in a night because she's lazy and I tend to give her a mice. But when they're quartering, they hunt by quartering. So they fly backwards and forwards across a field. And it really depends on how many voles there are as to how far she would need to fly. They're supposed to be about 12 times more efficient than cats at catching their food. Cats are quite good at catching mice. Barn owls are brilliant. But the problem is we haven't got very many mice for them. We haven't got these short-tailed voles. So they really struggle to find their food. So added up together, she could probably fly a few miles a night. But she'd do that in short bursts. She'd fly backwards and forwards across the field. She'd be listening, trying to find where the mice are. And when she hears one, she'll pause. It might move, she might miss it. She might have to go on and look for another one. While we're flying here, she won't fly a huge distance. The problem we've got with Tassel is that she's lazy. And just like any predator, she wants to sit around and just have her food thrown at her. She's only flying because she's hungry. Just like when the kids start watching telly and they start feeling hungry and they wander through into the kitchen saying, "Mom, I'm starving, what's for tea?" Owls are just the same. And if she's not hungry, she won't fly. Which is one of the reasons why some falconers and bird of prey centres tether their birds. They can sit them on a perch and they'll sit there because they don't want to do anything. Owls aren't that keen on being tethered, and it's now seen as best practice not to tether them at all. So Tassel's loose in an aviary when she's not flying around here, and when she's had enough, she'll actually fly off round behind the house and put herself onto the roof of her aviary and demand to be put away with a suitable mouse.
We have another question from Pamela. How good is their eyesight at night? How far can they see? And this is from Alex and Sophie in London.
Okay. The barn owls, we think, see in black and white. From looking at the back of their eye in post-mortems, they only have rods in their eyes, which are the cells that see in black and white. We have cones which pick up colour. And if we go for a walk at night, you get away from the lights, we only see in black and white. The rods are the part of the eye that work at night for us as well. Now, I've been asking this of opticians for years now, and apparently a tawny owl has 50,000 rods per square millimetre at the back of its eye. So it's got ultra high definition black and white vision. I haven't been able to find an answer until just recently for how well humans can see at night, or how many rods we have. We have about 2,000 rods per square millimetre at the back of our eye apparently. Oi, shh! Excuse me. No, Tassel's taking herself home. I've been talking too much. She might come back in a second. So yeah, 2,000 rods per square millimetre in our eye. So their eyesight is much, much better than ours. Shh. I'm busy talking on camera, trying to fly an owl, so I'm not doing the maths to work it out at the moment. Hey! Shh. She's gone and sat on one of the aviary roofs. We'll see. Shh. Shh. Might just find a slightly bigger treat for her somewhere in here. Shh. No, she's going to put herself away. She might come back again. While she's disappeared and she's gone to sit on her aviary roof, I'll talk about why they're endangered.
Can I just say a big thank you from Laura. Thank you, Richard, for all the information. Tassel is beautiful, said Sophia.
Have the kids gone to sleep yet? That's the important bit.
I don't think so.
It's an important service, getting kids to sleep at night with all the information. So yeah, barn owls are struggling.
Please make it regular. How long does a barn owl sleep for? That's from James, age 3, Cheshire.
Again, it depends on how much food they need. Probably about 16 hours, somewhere around there. If they're hungry, then they'll be out hunting a bit more, or if food's harder to find. And if you met Tassel, if you've seen us at Centre Parks, then you've probably met Tassel and had a go at flying her as well, because it's usually Tassel who goes up there and flies to everybody at Centre Parks. Yeah, going back to I've lost my train of thought now. The fact that barn owls are threatened. The really sort of important study that was done on barn owls and the numbers was done in the mid-90s to late 90s, and there were about 4,000 breeding pairs. It's quite difficult to count them because they're nocturnal, and we don't hear them calling that much on breeding bird surveys during the day. But we think that the numbers are down to about 1,000 pairs now. They've had some really hard years, past few years. They haven't been able to find food. We've had wet, windy weather.
Sorry, just a quick hello from Elaine, who obviously loves Tassel because she's a top fan. And Lacey Gibson says hello from Washington State in USA.
Wow.
Jilly, thanks. Yes, we remember this owl. And Elaine obviously is sharing that Tassel came to her wedding, which was fabulous.
quite a few years ago now as well.
Absolutely.
Was it Wendy from Washington State?
Oh, hold on. It was Lacey Gibson.
Sorry, Lacey, the barn owls that you've got in Washington State are slightly bigger than Tassel. They're about 500 grams, somewhere around there. Tassel is about 340 grams. We've actually got American barn owls sitting on eggs at the moment. We haven't been in to disturb them to see if the eggs are fertile yet, but yeah, there are lots of different species of barn owl all around the world, and America, being a slightly bigger place with slightly bigger rodents, has slightly bigger barn owls. So yeah, going back to the problems that they're having, the barn owls can't find enough food. They're starving to death. We're down to about 1,000 breeding pairs now. They need nice long grass. This grass, believe it or not, is actually quite long during the summer, and it heaves with voles. You can actually hear them squeaking and fighting. At the moment we've just got a long grass around the outside, but there are vole runs in there, and we've had barn owls flying over and coming into the field and hunting in the evenings, which is quite nice, sitting on the deck watching wild barn owls hunting. Why do we want to save them? Well, it's the owl that gave us our ghost stories. When the kids are at home and they're playing ghosts, they'll usually wear a white sheet over their head and they'll wander around going woo. And of course, if you imagine hundreds of years ago, you creep through the churchyard, you hear a horrible blood-curdling screech, and a white thing rises up from behind a gravestone and floats across the churchyard. You go straight back to your mate's house, tell them you've seen a ghost, and before you know it, it's all around the village that you're mad and you've seen a ghost. And that's where these owl stories started, these ghost stories started. So it would be a real shame to lose them. Best way of helping them is to grow long grass. If everybody in the country grew some long grass, we'd have 1 million acres of long grass. It's more than enough to save the barn owls, and they'd be able to fly around and find their food. We've already got tawny owls coming into towns and cities. If we can put the food there for the barn owls, they would do the same. And of course, they're called barn owls. They like living around buildings. It's a really easy place for them to find their food.
Just a quick thank you from Lacey, Richard, for the information.
No problem. Yeah, it's a great place for them to find their food, and the farmers of old knew that owls would catch the mice and the rodents and work as pest controllers, which is what they're doing in America at the moment. They're using American barn owls for pest control on vineries, very important piece of pest control, that controlling all the rodents and the vineries, and they're eating rodents and peanut plantations as well, and they encourage them by putting up nest boxes. There's loads of food there. It saves them a huge amount of money in pest control, trapping rodents. So that is our barn owl. That's a little bit of information about them. I think we're going to do great grey owls next week, and I shall get Elwood, our great grey owl, out and introduce him to everybody. I'm going to go and try and find Tassel now, who's probably sat in her aviary jumping up and down demanding some food. We'll maybe just try and call her once more. Shh! Shh! No, there's no sign of it. As soon as the camera goes off, she'll come straight back round to the perch. It would be great if you could donate to help the World Owl Trust while we're not able to go out and meet everybody and fundraise. I think we had 1,600 views last week on the video we did last week. If everybody had donated £1, that would have seen us well on the way to reaching our target. So yeah, it'd be great if you could share this video, click on the link to donate, and hopefully we'll see you at 7:30 next week with our great grey owl. Thank you.